Globally, issues of food prices and its supply continue to dominate discussions at several fora. The situation is becoming more worrisome, leaving government at all levels with the task of how to address the challenge. Food security is defined as having sufficient food to generate a calorie requirement of about 2,200 to 2,300 calories per day for adult females and 2,900 to 3,000 calories per day for adult males. In 2022, for instance, countries that are highly dependent on food imports saw a spike in food inflation as the war in Ukraine and associated supply shortages caused sharp price hikes for wheat and other staples. A hike in the cost of energy and transportation has also worsened food insecurity, especially amongst developing nations.
You're looking out the window of the helicopter, you're looking at really productive land that's empty. There's no one on the land. It's not safe to be out there on the farms. And that's what we're hearing from government, from military. So part of the solution in the Northeast is peace and then production.
A report by the International Monetary Fund shows that the prices of staple food in sub-Saharan Africa has surged by an average of 23.9% between 2020 to 2023. In Nigeria, the challenges of insecurity in some parts of the country, the impact of climate change, and the recent removal of fuel subsidy continues to affect the prices of food. This has led to an all-high inflation, especially the food component, pushing the rate to about 25.8%, a situation that has further pushed more citizens into hunger.
The insecurity has affected VCDP a lot. Our states, like Benue State, everybody knows what is happening in Benue State. There is a lot of insecurity in Benue State, in the southeast as well, Anambra, Enugu and Ebonyi. You know, we have security issues as well, in Taraba State as well. So that has affected our program implementation because farmers cannot go to their farms or they cannot expand to some other areas because of that security issues. And then climate change also has affected VCDP adversely. We remember the flood of last year, 2022. Most of the states in the VCDP were adversely affected.
The Food and Agriculture Organization had estimated that nearly 25 million Nigerians are at the risk of facing hunger between June and August 2023 if urgent action is not taken. In what seems to be a mitigation response, President Bola Tinubu recently declared a state of emergency on food security.
A comprehensive program.
Beyond the declaration, some economists are sharing their expertise on what can be done to harness the vast food production potential that Nigeria possesses.
How much food will you produce that will be enough if you lose about 50% of it before it is consumed? From the farm, from the markets, from the storage in your own kitchen, your own store. So production is not the only thing you look at when we want to really look about food security. It involves storage facilities that will ensure that you don't lose the food post-harvest. It involves even the method of distribution and the method of transportation.
It's perhaps not all gloomy for Nigeria, as available statistics shows that the country's food production index has increased from 21.7 index in 1972 to 108.1 index in 2021. A record which reveals an average annual growth rate of 3.48%. experts believe strongly that Nigeria can be food sufficient and become a food export hub if her agricultural potential are properly harnessed.
All right, let's now get some more insight into the government's plans to ensure food security. And we are now being joined on the News at 10 by the Director General of the National Biotechnology Development Agency, Professor Abdullahi Mustafa. Thank you for joining us on the News at 10, Professor.
Thank you.
Now, perhaps you can start by telling us the role of a biotechnology development agency in boosting food security.
Thank you very much. National Biotechnology Development Agency is a government agency and is formed specially to cater for this kind of problems. And the role that biotechnology can play in this food security is by providing quality seed, which is resilient, and availability of that seed, and also making sure that the soil is of quality, that has no degradation and has nutrient in it, and also making sure that there is also availability of improved cattle that can provide sufficient meat and then sufficient milk. So these parts are, in a nutshell, biotechnology role that it can play in mitigating food insecurity. I'll expand further by saying that, the seed quality is what is paramount. When you give a farmer a quality seed that can be resilient to climatic change, that can be resistant to drought, that can be resistant to pest attack, this is something that can be used. Biotechnology is a tool that can be used to make sure all these things are corrected and the seed are also available, which can provide high yield. And if you can recall, I had an interview here in Channels Television that the quality seed that we provided for cowpea is available, and that is why if you look at the index this year, it is showing that we don't have shortage of cowpea, because this cowpea is of high yield and then is resilient to pest attack, and then it is something that is very easily managed by a farmer, because the quantity of chemicals that can be used to spray is very, very much minimal, and at the same time, that minimum quantity helps to preserve the soil quality.
All right, Professor.
And if you look at it,
Professor,
the farmer also is making a very good saving by that. So when we look at that angle, the other crops that is about to be released in the country, for example, maize, within by the end of this year, the maize also is resistant to pest attack.
All right,
and
Professor,
also
apologies.
resistant.
I may have to interject in there, my sincere apologies, but of course, you must be conversant with some of the challenges faced by the farmers, like insecurity and flooding, and even the impact of climate change. In just about a minute, very quickly now, can you tell us how the government is tackling these challenges or can tackle these challenges very quickly?
Well, let me talk on biotechnology, because this is an institution of government, and the biotechnology can come into that. For example, the issue of flooding, there are researches that is going on for rice that is resistant to flooding. Some of the rice has been released already that can resist flooding, that can stay underwater for at most 2 weeks underwater. That is in the condition, under the condition of flooding. And this is a very, very important milestone that we have seen in the country. And also, if you are talking about insecurity, the insecurity issue is about the area, territory area. So, but when you maximize the output of the crop by increasing the yield, in small portion area, you can farm something that you have lost in those areas.
I
So
will
the
definitely have to
quality
leave
of
it
the
at that,
seed
Professor.
that we are producing.
We'll have to leave it at that, so Professor. Sincere apologies, but thank you so much for your thoughts. Director General of the National Biotechnology Development Agency, Professor Abdullahi Mustafa. We thank you for your thoughts on the News at 10.